that frozen, and it would have been pretty much suicidal trying to have a car. So I walked up the top, and I actually camped out on the old Roman fort. Now, I'm convinced at the back end of the old Roman fort, I think I was camped out in what was potentially a toilet block originally. Do you know what I mean? And I stayed the night there. It was freezing, it was windy, it was raining all night, and in the morning I thought, I've got to walk back down the other side now. Do you know what I mean? But
I mean,
go on.
The Hard Knot's an impressive site as well. Just
it is.
Unfortunately, its location, not that many people visit it, but it's definitely worth going.
When you think about it, though, them soldiers back in the day, you know, they had to come over from like Rome or whatever, you know, they had to spend time there. But I think there's a place in Lake District, isn't there, somewhere over to the side of Ambleside and whatnot, and I think is it 20 odd miles or something from one point to another.
Yeah.
And that was what every Roman legion man was expected to walk as part of the basic fitness test. Like, it would have been full on, wouldn't it?
And then you had the temporary camps as well, so they'd have to set up these temporary camps. It was definitely.
When you think about it, it must have been a tough existence, like. Yeah, but then again, because we now live in a society where everything's available to us at the touch of a button, kids these days don't know any different. I suppose if we was born back in them days, we wouldn't have known any different, would we?
No, we'd have been made out of harder stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Now then, I've got another question in from, who's this one from here? Steve Tyson's been on in southwest Cumbria. Evening, Steve. Steve says, hiya, I'm loving the History Talk segment. He's clearly been about a bit. Is there anywhere that has a good selection of Roman graffiti to view? Merry Christmas all, says Steve.
I'd say in Cumbria, probably one of the best parts is the wall heading east out of Bird Oswald's Roman fort. Yeah. Because there's a phallic symbol on the wall on that part. Again, going a bit further afield, Chester's Roman fort has a good bit of graffiti as well. Yeah. Unfortunately, there was some good graffiti at Geltwood, but unfortunately due to rock slide.
Well, me and Wife went for a walk through Geltwood with dogs last year, and Wife says there is Roman graffiti there. I couldn't find it, but she says there is some there somewhere.
It was hard to find anyways. There used to be a platform up to it, but that rotted years ago. And, I think it was back in the 80s. Yeah, they took that down, but unfortunately now you can't even access it because it's the part that you go to's blocked off.
Apparently there was a big battle in Geltwood, wasn't there, years ago? I'm sure I've heard something about that.
Yeah,
it was either. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, it was 16th century. It was Mary Queen of Scots supporters, the ones who were trying to get Mary Queen of Scots onto the throne against obviously the Elizabeth I.
Aye. Mm. We'll come on to Mary Queen of Scots in a bit, because there's something I want to ask you about Mary Queen of Scots, because you've done a few talks and walks and talks and this, that and the other, and you've also been across road in Carlisle Castle, and that's of course where Mary Queen of Scots was held, wasn't it? Aye.
Yeah, for 8 weeks.
Yeah. Well, what can you tell us about
that? About her being held there. So she'd been defeated at the Battle of Langside. At the time, Scotland was basically in a period of civil war, so she'd been defeated at the Battle of Langside. Then she fled, went to Dundrennan Abbey over the border. Then she sailed to Workerton from there. She was hoping that her cousin Elizabeth I would help her out, and then she'd be able to rebuild her forces and try and get back onto the Scottish throne. But unfortunately it didn't work out that way, and Elizabeth had her arrested. So she got arrested and took to Carlisle Castle for the first 8 weeks out of 19 years of imprisonment before she was finally executed.
I've been into Carlisle Castle. Obviously, it's originally a military barracks, isn't it? And the Duke of Lancaster's regiment, which would have been your King's Own Royal Border Regiment lads, because they all amalgamated a few years ago. But it's the reserves what's based there now. But they would have had a working battalion based 3 years ago, and I love out like that, because I was in Farby back in day myself. I was in the Queen's Lancashire Regiment, so I've been into that bit, but I've not actually been. I don't think are you allowed to go into where she was held? Is that public or not?
Well, it's been demolished, the tower, where, because she had you say it's imprisonment, it's not what you'd expect She had quite a luxurious lifestyle still.
All right.
She had an allowance, which...
She have a maid? And,
yeah, she had her own team and that. So it's...
All right for some, innit? You know, you might be locked up for 19 years, but you've got a maid, you know what I
mean? But yeah, so unfortunately, that got demolished in the 19th century. It was just like fallen into ruin, and for safety reasons, they knocked it down. But it's... If you go into Carlisle Castle, it's right in the corner of the inner ward. It's all like they've got a bit of information on it, and you can see an octagonal tower, which was a part of the tower as well, where she was held.
Do you think? I mean, Carlisle Castle now is in the custodianship of English heritage, isn't it? Do you think that's going to be preserved forever? I mean, it's in great nick, considering, isn't it, how old it really is. But
no, I think Carlisle Castle has obviously been fortunate because it's had the military presence. So obviously it hasn't went into complete ruin, unlike some castles.
Do you know what? We're actually cracking on for time now. I can't believe it's almost 10 to 8. I'm going to come back to Johnny in a minute, because I could talk to you all night, and if you don't want to get off, we'll have crack, and we'll definitely have crack. If you've got any questions for Johnny, of course, Johnny does run a Facebook page. What is it, pal?
Cumbria and Borders History.
Yeah. If you've got any questions for Johnny, then why don't you WhatsApp me into the studio on 07822 000 560. I have got my driving song of the week coming up for you, and I think this is a cracking driving song of the week. It's a cover. The original version was by World Party, but Brian Kennedy did a version, and it's just my humble opinion, but I think the cover by Brian Kennedy is better than the original. That's just my view on it. What do you think? But right now, it is, of course, it's almost 10 to 8 on CRFM.
It's time to find out why Northwood have been judged best Carlisle